You're now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon podcast. I'm your host, Glenn, and I'm actually not joined by anyone today. I'm doing something I haven't done since episode 2 of the very first season of this show, and I'm running solo today. It's going to be an interesting one. I haven't done this in a long time. Luckily, since then, I've changed the format of the show enough and given it more structure, so hopefully I should be able to carry this show on my own. I hope that I do an effective job of that this week, and I hope that you all enjoy. That said, this week's episode might be a little bit short, just on the shorter side, because I don't have Johnny or Zach or James here to kind of bounce off of, so I appreciate your understanding and patience with that. I thought I'd start off this week's episode with something a little different. I wanna switch things up a little bit, and I wanted to remind you all that if you're listening on Spotify, which is actually where about 50% of the viewership comes from for this podcast, that you should you can leave a comment on Spotify, and you can leave a rating, which helps boost us in the algorithm to make things a little more favorable, help more people see us. And you can tell your friends about us too, but the algorithm tends to do its thing regardless. Along with that, if you want to leave us a like on YouTube, which is where most of our other viewership comes from, by which I mean all of the rest of it, leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe, any of those things. But of course, the best way to support this show is over on Patreon, patreon.com/terminalcreative, where you get access to, excuse me, I got something in my throat, quite a bit of content. You get access to a lot of content over there for a low price. For $1 a month, you get early access to every episode of the show, usually about 2 days early, as well as access to our bonus show, N21 Plus, where we do all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes we get bonus interviews. Sometimes we'll just do fun stuff. This week, if you're watching when this goes live on free feeds, I should have something up that's a little Halloween-y. Not sure exactly what that's going to be yet, but we're going to be doing some sort of Halloween-themed video. It might just be me again, but with Halloween being tomorrow, if you're watching this on free feeds, we thought we'd do something a little spooky. Maybe I'll watch through like the Darkrai movie and live react to it. I think that could be fun. What else is on Patreon? Yes. The audience participation tier is at $5 a month. You can get your questions read on the show. That's questions for both myself and my co-hosts, as well as if we have any guests on the show. Guests like Little Dark Fury, who will be here on the show on November 8th. We're recording that. It should be me and Johnny at least. I think maybe Zach. Don't know if James is joining. We'll see. I don't know exactly what the cast is going to be that day, but I can assure you LDF will be in the building Saturday, November 8th. And if you want to ask him a question, if you have a question for him that you want read on the show, it's $5 a month over on Patreon. It's a pretty good deal. It also helps the show out quite a bit, gets us closer to our long-term goals of getting some improved gear, getting an RSS feed, and being able to hopefully fund our goal of taking over the planet. But that's beside the point. Yeah, no, by all means, go over Patreon, get all those things, and I hope to someday populate our producer tier as well at that $10 a month subscription. But for the time being, be sure to get your questions in. You only have a little bit of time left to get those questions in for LDF. Because as of the time this goes live on free feeds, we'll be recording it in like a week and a half from then. Very important that you get your questions in. Now, and that'll be on the October question thread that is pinned on the Patreon. So that is the current pinned one, because I didn't want to like put out a November thread when he would be there for the second week in November. It doesn't give you guys a lot of time. So I've got that thread up at active right now if you want to go ask a question. Furthermore, some more housekeeping stuff. I want to let you guys all know. I will be beginning work soon. It's very exciting, actually. I'll be beginning work on another podcast, actually, sometime this week. I'm pretty sure. If all goes according to plan, I'll be beginning work on that show in an editor, producer type of role. Hopefully I'll hear back about that Wednesday, so the day before this goes live on free feeds. which is to say that my time and attention are going to kind of be divided. So understand that things might get a little crazier than they already kind of are. I don't really know what it will look like, how I'll be working for them, but it'll be cool. It's my old college. They're doing a podcast with like staff and people they want to interview for whatever reason. But I'm excited to come alongside them and hopefully get some professional work out of it too. It'll be kind of a pro bono thing at first, but I'm hoping to land a pretty decent contract with them. So, that'll be exciting. I'm really stoked about that. It'll be cool to get to kind of stretch my legs outside of this show and see what I can do with other show and higher quality equipment. But that's beside kind of the point of this show. I guess I'll kind of just get into things. It's a pretty short list. We've got another heavy topic to discuss in a moment, but I don't want to start with that again this week. So I'd like to actually start with what we're playing, and by what we're playing, I mean what I'm playing. And it's an interesting one. I've got actually my Halo 4 shirt on. It's a weird time to be a Halo fan right now. I've been playing some Halo this week. Some Halo 3 multiplayer because I'm a fan of that franchise. And as some of you may know, Halo Campaign Evolved just got announced for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. This is the first time a Halo campaign is going to PlayStation in the ecosystem. And I'm really excited about that. I love the Halo games. I am excited to play CE remade and remastered. There's a lot of criticism for it, but I don't know. I want to see what it's like. I'm really excited about it. So I've been playing some Halo multiplayer. I've been playing Borderlands 4, of course, but what you guys care about, I've been playing Zoroark Control, which is a fun deck that uses some fighting type guys alongside Zoroark. And this is kind of going along the take that I have in recent history, which is that I think that Eviltal, unless you're playing like Petarant, which is what a certain player that we'll be talking about in a moment was doing, if you're not playing Petarant in a control build, I don't exactly see the vision with Eviltal. Hear me out. There is a Pokemon that I think does this effect better unless you're using Petch. And that Pokemon is Ethan Sudowoodo. If you run, what is the energy type? It's Luminous Energies. You can run Luminous in this deck. You can run Sudowoodo, and you can run Cornerstone Ogerpon. These are both really potent control tools that I like to use a lot of. I think they do a really good job. That's kind of the build of Zoroark control that I've been going for. And it works pretty well. The Cornerstones can wall people out pretty effectively. It's a really strong deck. I think it's got some stuff to work out, but it gets a lot stronger now that we've got Lily's determination in the format. Which I don't know. I love a Zoroark deck. I love a control deck. I love when the two come together. And I'm very excited to see kind of what comes of it. Maybe I'm wrong about Eviltal, but I really think that Sudowoodo does it better, because also a lot of really strong Pokemon in the format are resistant to fighting, which lets you do no damage and retreat lock. So lots to be said about that. I think it's a really strong deck. I don't think it's like an A tier or even like a B tier deck, but it can surprise folks, and I think it's really valuable to keep your eye on Zoroark in the coming weeks, especially after the results of Lille Regionals, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But first, I think I want to talk about a situation that we once again have to bring up, and that is one of boundaries with Pokemon players. This week, 4 days ago at the time of recording this, that is, what is that, the 23rd? Wolfie VGC posted a video titled Moving Forward, wherein he details several reasons for which he will have some changes to the way his channel is approached and the way he approaches competitive tournaments in person specifically. He outlines circumstances in which he is sexually groped. He outlines circumstances or situations where people are being really, really parasocial and strange. And I won't speak on his behalf. That's not my place. I will leave the link to that video in this description. It's important that you watch it. And that you also I think you should watch it even if it is uncomfortable for you. I think especially if it's uncomfortable for you. Obviously do what's safe for you, right? Like if you have experience with sexual assaults and things of that nature. Be careful, be safe, take care of yourself. But I understand that this is a scary topic for some just because I don't want to talk about it. We're all just here for Pokemon. Like, no, this is important that you, I want to speak carefully here. It's important that you make yourself aware of the situations that are happening in this community. Wolf is obviously the biggest content creator in the Pokemon space as a whole, right? That's not just to say like VGC, that is across all of the games. Excuse me. But Wolf is the de facto face of competitive Pokemon. And I can't imagine the level of attention he garners, where there are countless people trying to get his attention everywhere he goes. I think he even mentions in the video he had to hide away from people at multiple venues. And it boils down to this behavior, this parasocial stuff, all kinds of these behaviors are wholly unacceptable in this community, and any community for that matter. Now, what I mean by that, the obvious low-hanging fruit, don't grope people. Of course, obviously don't do that. This also goes into other facets of Pokemon fandom, right? If you see a player that you're a fan of, whether it's a content creator or just somebody who is really good at the game and you admire, do your best to read the room, or to read what they're experiencing. I had an experience in Atlanta where I saw a creator that I actually really wanted to, speak to, but I was like, oh, this person is clearly exhausted from the week or the weekend. I'll probably see them again. This can wait. And I urge you to do the same in those circumstances. Take inventory of the situation. Recognize that there are people in these tournaments who don't want to be yelled at for a photo, who don't want to be grabbed. Wolf describes situations where people are grabbing him on his shoulder or his back to get his attention. Don't touch people without their consent. If you're not actively friends with these people, if they don't know your name, if they couldn't tell you what deck you're playing or what your team list is, I feel like that's maybe a good barometer. If these people don't know you well enough to know what you're playing, you shouldn't touch them for any circumstance and for any reason, unless you are explicitly given consent. It is fully unacceptable that there are people who go to tournaments and are scared that they will just be touched by strangers or yelled at for photos and harassed. This is fully unacceptable. This is a franchise that countless people all over the planet adore and love with their whole hearts. we are responsible for making sure that it is a safe place to be, because for countless reasons, man. Like, one, you just don't treat people that way. You don't. That's not how people deserve to be treated, regardless of their fame. You don't treat them that way. And I think where a lot of it gets kind of like misconstrued is these parasocial relationships that people develop with content creators, where they act like they know each other, but you don't. It's a one-sided thing. You know, and this is something I kind of experienced firsthand, briefly, albeit. I had moments of parasociality with actually the cast of Dunsparce and Drampa, who I've had on the show a couple times, and been able to become like pals with over time. But at first I was very word vomity, very star-stricken with them, because it felt very parasocial to me, and maybe I was more aware of it at the time, but like I could feel the parasociality building, because I had heard these folks speak. I learned what makes them laugh, what joke their senses of humor are, like how they portray certain characters. I learned all this about them over a series of years, right? Before I ever really interacted with them on a deep level. And because of that, I was deeply, deeply ingrained. I don't know. I was extremely familiar with them. They had no idea who I was. And you get that same experience when you are enamored with a content creator. And you have to err on the side of caution to make sure that you are not letting yourself become parasocial in that way. It is important to recognize that if they don't know you, they don't know you. Sorry, this is kind of all over the place. I don't have like a breakdown for exactly what this is, but I wanted to talk on that. Oh, the other reason, of course, like that this is important, that we're responsible about this, is like, not only are you making this safe for your friends, but you're making it safe for people's kids and the next generation of players. I can't imagine having a kid right now and like being a Pokemon fan and going to in-person tournaments, because especially lately, the tale has been very much like, oh, I went to this tournament and got harassed. I went to this tournament and got raped. I went to this tournament and got groped and like yelled at and grabbed for pictures from people I've never met. That environment has to change. That sentiment has to change. As players, as fans of creators, we have to change. That means many things. One, you should not act like this. You should, like I was mentioning, take inventory of your situation, try to recognize if you are experiencing a parasocial relationship where you are the one being parasocial and weird. That includes like commenting about people and like making them the sole focus of the way you interact with the franchise. I don't think that's a healthy way to do that. What that also means is that like you stick up for your friends. If you see this happening, well, and so the way you interact with your friends has to change also. If you see your friends behaving this way, call them out. It'll be uncomfortable. It'll be embarrassing for them and probably for you as well. But be serious about it. Call your friends out when they're being strange. You owe it to them to call out behaviors in them that are unhealthy and self-destructive and destructive to the community. Being a member of this community is a privilege, not a right. Call your friends out. It's crucial for the ecosystem of like the social ecosystem of this community, that those bad behaviors get weeded out. and that someone has to do that, and they're not going to do it on their own. It's been shown countless times already by people in this community that bad apples, are not going to get better on their own. They require intervention. That also means that you have to speak up for your friends and speak up for yourself. If you or a friend or anyone you see, truly, you see this happening, call them out. Call out what you see. If you see something, say something. Embarrass someone who is acting this way. I think it's high time, actually, and this is maybe a controversial sentence, but I think it's time we bring back very publicly shaming people for this. This isn't like call this person out on like stage, right? Whatever. Like that is a little extravagant, a little on the heavy-handed side. But you should certainly be like, hey, why are you touching this person this way? Why are you touching my friend this way? Why are you harassing? Or like, hey, stop yelling. He's clearly in the middle of something. Why are you... Calm down. He's doing something right now. Don't touch this person. Don't touch me. Step back from me. These are all sentences you should acquaint yourself with. Because... again, unless these defectors are called out, they will not change their behavior. That is... yeah. It's exhausting to have to say this over and over, and it's even more exhausting that I don't have anybody to bounce off of and get more input on, but also, like, I can't even imagine what anyone would say to add to this. There's nothing else to say. Well, maybe there is. Maybe there's like better ways to more eloquently explain this sentiment, but the bottom line is do better. This is a community for people of all ages. This is a community where people gather to experience something we love. And you're doing a disservice to yourself and the community by allowing this to exist. So call it out in yourself and in others, and we will have a better community. That sucks. I'm tired of talking about this. It's really disheartening as someone who likes to bring you the news for Pokemon to every week for the past 3 episodes. It's been like, oh, there's been more sexual harassment, more harassment of creators, more of this, that, and the third. We got to do better. All right. That's enough of that. I don't want this whole episode to be talking about this again. I've done it to death. And I just need some positivity. Yeah. All this is to say, like, and of course, again, you'll need to visit like the wolf video. Where I was going with that is that he's taking a break from live tournaments for, I think, 4 months is what he said. Live events like the Lille Regional that actually just took place in Lille, France. That's Lille, France. Which is always a fun tournament. I feel like every time there's a Lille Regional, something crazier and cool happens. So I'm very eager every time this event takes place. We got some really interesting stuff out of it. For TCG players, I want to congratulate Alexander Rukowicz on his Dragapult win. Finally, Dragapult gets a W. Finals was a Dragapult Dusknoir mirror. Dragapult Dusknoir shaping up to be a really, really strong deck, even with a bunch of Gardevoir running around. People are using things like Hawlucha, Dusclops, Dusknoir, all kinds of interesting stuff. Lily's Determination just makes this deck so much better. It's a truly interesting deck list, because we're back on Neo Upper Energy, which I just find insane, quite plainly. because I just never thought I'd see the day that Neo Upper was good. But whatever. We're back on it. That's the way to play it. People are making it work. Other exciting things about this top 8, though, include 2 N Zoroark lists on here and 1 Terabox. Now, I'll come back to the Zoroarks in a second, but Terabox, of course, one of my favorite decks in the format. This one actually includes Mega Mawile EX, which is not something I expected to see here. But people talked about it for a while because you're using the Pikachu. You can just kind of get away with having that metal energy in the deck. It's a very silly deck. It reminds me very much of like Lost Box for a while, where you just had so much going on and so many one-ofs. Excuse me. Where it's a lot going on, and it's cool. It's always exciting to see Terabox do well. This Terabox list was piloted to 4th place by Alejandro Gonzalez Sanchez from Spain, which is really exciting. And actually, Gabriel Fernandez was one of the top 8 Zoroark players. This is a pretty standard actual N Zoroark list, but with a Petrunt and an Eviltal. Actually, wait a minute, I lied to you. This is a very interesting one because Hoopa EX is in here, which I didn't expect to see. But that's very cool. I like Hoopa EX. Other than that, it's a pretty standard list. Hero's Cape is also in here. And Rocket's Watchtower. Lots of strange things. Oh, and a Klefki. It's a weird list, but it's one of the Fernandez boys, and they are excellent players, so I'm not surprised to see it at all. The other one that I really wanted to talk about, Piper Lapine, one of my favorite players in the league, truly, right now. She is just outstanding and has proven herself tournament after tournament to be capable of getting a really high finish. And I want to say this is one of her higher finishes in recent history. Yeah. This is her, I guess, 5th top cut. Where, yeah, because at a regional, 5th top cut and 8th top cut total. Where, you know, her most recent was it was actually in Milwaukee on Zoroark as well. I think about this, nearly the same build. Yeah. So really cool to see that. I think she got robbed by some pretty bad prizes and dead draws, but, you know, that's the game. Pretty common for Piper Lapine to get absolutely robbed of an easy W later on in the tournament. But still really exciting nonetheless. I'm also excited to see a Charizard deck here, which, I don't know. I've been saying that Charizard is in a really good spot for a while. What's interesting about this is particularly the Tatsugiri. I don't know what to say, but like, Tatsugiri is a cool Pokemon. I like seeing him here. Charizard being able to kind of outdo the Gardevoir. The fact that there's no Gardevoir in this top 8 is astounding to me. So, really cool to see. Actually, wait, yeah, Alexander Rudowicz is also a Polish player. Represent. I'm also a Polish player, but not from Poland. I'm a Polish American. But that's all I've got to say about TCG for the Lille Regional. It's a really exciting display of prominent players and interesting deck lists. There's some more intrigue that takes place over in the VGC side of things. Now, I don't have full top standings, but this is a Regulation H tournament, I believe. And I'm here to congratulate 3-time international champion Marco Silva. He won his 2nd regional title using a Doug team variant. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it utilizes Ribambi and Komo-o. And he defeated the 2022 world champion Eduardo Cunha in the finals, which is super exciting stuff. This team utilizes, actually, surprisingly, Terra Fire Insane with Covert Cloak, Goldengo with Life Orb, and Terra Steel. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. And then Komao on Throat Spray with Overcoat, Terra Fire. Flamethrower is the main. Okay, interesting. And then Rabambi with Focus Sash, Terra Fairy. Shield Dust is the ability with a Tailwind setup, it seems. Blood Moon Ursaluna with Assault Vest. Terra Water, which I'm not sure, but I also don't know anything, so you can never tell. And then Dragonite on Loaded Dice with Multiscale Scale Shot for the Loaded Dice with Terra Steel. So, really cool team comp. I always love to see unique stuff. I love Komao as well. So it's exciting to see both of those things. A strange team comp that includes Komao. You know, it's right up my alley. I love to see it. You love to see it. We all love to see it, truly. All right. Yeah, that's all I've got about VGC. I don't know enough yet. I think I still have plans to do a video in the near future with Squids of the Calyrex Game Corner. I need to reach back out to him, actually. It's been a while, but I still have plans to do a video with him, hopefully, so I can learn more VGC. Hopefully, with the arrival of Champions in January, that's something that we can accomplish. Now, I want to move on to the usual stuff this week. Price spikes in Pokemon. This comes to us via TCG Player. And a really interesting set of cards spiking up this week. And this one is a much less dramatic price point, but the first card on this is Precious Trolley, which goes from like $2 to $5. That is, excuse me. Wow, I'm so tired, guys. It's been such a long day. Goes from like $2 to $5. It is not that much money, but it is a really strong card right now in the format. And yeah, it's doing pretty well. It's from Surging Sparks. It's pretty easy to get. The next couple of cards, though, are really, really intriguing. Because I'm not exactly sure why this is like this. But the first one is a WotC card. A really, really old card from back in the day. This is the Team Rocket's Meowth Black Star promo, which went from $15 jumping up to $23.83. The current market price is $24.16 for it. It's got a pretty cool art. I don't know who that artist is. It's an old school one. And then the double feature, you get the modern Team Rocket's Meowth from Destined Rivals, the illustration rare with Giovanni in the background sitting in his chair. This card went from approximately $27, $28 up to $36, $39, or $30, around there. It's sitting now at about $30.80, but it jumped up quite a bit. That quick little spike there. It was a lot of movement in the graph. So, exciting to see that. Exciting to see Meowth cards getting some recognition, and it's cool to see that Destined Rivals is actually worth it if you got some cool cards from there back in the day. Another Destined Rivals card. This one should be no shock, but it is a hefty price spike. That is the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX. It went from about $380 around September 12th to now sitting at around $583, which is just truly baffling. I mean, I often forget the Gen 1er just craziness that happens where everybody's like, oh my god, Mewtwo, Charizard, all of my guys from the original 151. I'm like, yeah, they're fine, I guess. And I see this card with Giovanni and Mewtwo, and I'm like, yo, what is happening? Why are the unks out in the stock market? This is crazy. Mewtwo's not a playable card. And if I remember right, the pull rate on this card is pretty good. So it's not even particularly rare exactly, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's astonishing that this is almost a $600 card now. Crazy for me to think about. This is the same price as like, this is more expensive than on release Giratina V, the Shinji Kanda. I'm gonna actually look that up right now. The Shinji Kanda Giratina V, because I remember that card coming out. I remember that card coming out in Lost Origin, and it being absolutely bananas, and that people were paying like, oh, it's $100, it's $200. Oh my god, it's getting so expensive. And now it's market price. Like, yeah, here it is. The market price for Giratina V is $613, which is only a little more expensive than this Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Giratina V has had years for it to hang out and get better. Years. And this Mewtwo is up this high in only a couple months. Interesting. Hefty spike. If you have that card, you're very glad to have it. Just so astonishing that it jumps that quick. And even another little spike just from September 29th up through October 13th this past week. A little $50 jump. Next up is another V Pokemon. This is a Rayquaza VMAX Rainbow Rare from Evolving Skies. This jumped up from about $48, $44 to $70. Sitting now comfortably at $69.62. People don't like Rainbow Rares, but they'll make an exception if it's a card they like. Or, in this case, if it's Evolving Skies. Obviously, Evolving Skies has the crazy bad hit rates. People love Rayquaza. People love secret rares. People love pulling anything from Evolving Skies. So it's cool to see a Rayquaza card that actually didn't get much play until very, very late in its life. And very, very early, I guess, at the same time. Getting some love. Yeah, that was... Yeah, it's now sitting at that $69.62 price point. If you still have this guy, probably a good time to make a quick buck. Again, this is not financial advice, just something to think about. This next card is actually one of my favorites of this list because I have one. This is the Ducklet from White Flare, which a couple weeks ago, it was around $15, now sitting around $30. Jumped up to $32.56 and is now at $31.59. This is a really cool art. You can see you see this camera angle from like the bottom of this waterbed, or like not waterbed, like this bed of like lake or pond or shallow water with looking up at a bunch of little ducklets, and you can see the water distortion. It's really, really gorgeous, especially in person. I can personally attest to how nice this card is, and I highly recommend that you pick one up. I more highly recommend that you have already picked one up in the past, because this is just an exquisite card, and it almost doubled in price. So, no, it did double in price. But yeah, exciting stuff. Exciting cards to see jumping up. Lots of Team Rocket love this week. Lots of Team Rocket love this week. So if you're a Team Rocket Gen 1er, oh my god, Team Rocket's the coolest, criminal team, even though they're super not. No shade. Then this is a good week for you. Let's see here. We actually don't have any questions this week from the audience over at patreon.com/terminalcreative. But if you want to participate in the show, be sure that for next week you leave your questions in the pinned comment thread for October. I guess kind of the only thing I really have left to talk about is my usual tinfoil hat posting about the Pokemon Company International's LinkedIn page. As you know, I like to jump onto the Pokemon Company International's LinkedIn and just observe. Just have a quick look around, see what's going on. And I'm noticing a couple things. I'm looking at the most recent jobs they've put out, and there's some more across countries. The first one here, the most recent, actually was posted minutes ago, which is a licensing manager for a 12-month fixed-term contract. It's a really interesting one where, let's see exactly what you're doing. This is not a sales and business development role. You're just managing direct reports, leading conception of additional creative assets for Softline category with external agencies on behalf of the licensing team. So a licensing manager. This further suggests that I was right about the Converse collab. That there might be some really, really interesting stuff coming for the 30th anniversary. And I'm excited to see it. Let me know what you want for a licensed product for Pokemon in the near future. What do you think this means? There's also a royalty accountant in London, England. That licensing manager is also in London. There's a localization editor, European Spanish for London. There's a Bellevue, Washington job for a senior user acquisition and performance marketing manager. A support content specialist in Dublin. There is, what's another recent one? Oh yeah, one that I actually think we talked about is a GSOC specialist, which is that, what is that? GSOC is, yes, Global Security Operations Center Specialist. This is one we talked about with like the bots a couple weeks ago and how the bot situation is getting out of control, and I think this might have something to do with it. Or it might be a way to combat that, and I didn't realize it at the time, but that job listing is for Durham, here in North Carolina. It's an on-site place. I didn't even realize there was a Pokemon Company location or office place in North Carolina, much less in Raleigh-Durham. So that's noteworthy. If you know anybody in Raleigh-Durham area and you're interested in that job, or they are, you should check that out. But that's kind of the last thing I really wanted to touch on with the jobs. I think that's all I've got for you at all. It's been an interesting week. There's more like schizo posting I could do just based on some recent articles on Poke Beach. But I don't think I'll be doing that. I think it doesn't do me any good to speculate and just pad the watch time of this. I'd rather you just enjoy a shorter episode. A more condensed episode, a little less yapping for you. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the show. Thank you for your love, your kindness, your support here on YouTube and Spotify and over at patreon.com/terminalcreative. Helps out a lot. I appreciate all of your viewership, your listenership, and I appreciate you. Thanks for coming out, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.